Okay, so in the last video I told you how to get a factor of a polynomial. Now we need to divide it. Let's get straight into it. So let's start with an easy example. X squared minus 2x minus 3 divided by x minus 3. How are we going to do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do something called polynomial long division. So what we're going to do is, just like the bus stop method, we need to put the factor that we want outside and the polynomial on the inside. So x squared minus 2x minus 3. So now we need to ask ourselves, what do we need to multiply this by to get x squared? Exactly, we just need to multiply it by x. So now what we need to do is times x by x minus 3, which is just going to be x squared minus 3x, okay? And now all we're going to do is we're going to subtract. So x squared minus x squared is 0. Minus 2x minus 3x is just going to be x. And then we put the 3 on the bottom, okay? So now we ask again, how many times do we need to multiply this x by to get this x on the bottom? Exactly, we only need to multiply it by 1. So now let's multiply 1 by this. We get x minus 3. And then we subtract. So x minus x is 0. And minus 3 times minus 3 is also 0. And when we have 0, then what we can do is we can factorize. So therefore we can say that x squared minus 2x minus 3 is equal to x minus 3 times x plus 1. Okay? But let's look at some harder examples, because obviously this is a quadratic. There are much easier ways to solve that. But before we do that, if you found that explanation good, then please make sure you subscribe, as it helps out the channel a lot. What about something like this, where we're told to factorize x cubed minus x squared minus 4x plus 4? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to use the factor theorem. So that we can get an actual factor bracket that we can divide by. So let's try 1, okay? So f of 1 is going to be x, well, can do it straight away. So we'll do 1 cubed minus 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 4, which is just going to be 1 minus 1 minus 4 plus 4, which is 0. Okay, we got lucky. So therefore we know that x minus 1 is a factor. So let's divide this by x minus 1, okay? So we put that there. And then in here we'll do x cubed minus x squared minus 4 plus 4. And now let's divide. What do we need to multiply this by to get x cubed? Well, we need to multiply by x squared, okay? Because x squared times this will be x cubed. And then if we do that, it will also be minus x squared. Yeah. So now let's minus them. Okay. When we minus it, we'll get 0. We put the minus 4 down. Okay. What do we need to multiply this by to get 0? Exactly. It's just going to be 0. So we can leave it as is. Also, this is an x. Yes. So now what we'll do is we'll put the 4 down again. Well, we don't need to get rid of the 4 actually. Yeah, we can put the 4 down. And then we have to ask ourselves, what do we need to multiply x minus 1 by to get minus 4x? We need to multiply it by minus 4. Okay? And so when we do minus 4 times minus 1, x minus 1, we get minus 4x plus 4. And then when we subtract each of these, we get 0. So therefore, we can say that f of x is equal to x plus 1 times x squared minus 4. But remember, we need to fully factorize it. So that's just going to be x plus 1 times x minus 2, x plus 2, because it's a difference of 2 squares. And that is our final answer. Did that not make sense? Don't you worry. Join my Discord server and you can ask whatever questions you want at any time. But what about this one? So for this one, we have a coefficient in front of the first number. How are we going to solve this equation? Well, what we're going to do is first and foremost use the factor theorem. So let's try, well, we have a plus 16, so 0 is not going to work. So let's try f of 1 again. So we're left with 2 times 1 minus 11 times 1 plus 8 times 1 plus 16. And what we're left with is 2 minus 11 plus 8 plus 16, which is just going to equal 15. So not 0. So therefore 1 isn't a factor. Let's try something else. Excuse me. What about f of 2? What's that going to be? We have 2 times 2 to the 3, sorry. Nearly gave away what the answer was. Minus 11 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2 plus 16. And what we're left with is 2 times 2 cubes, that's just 16, minus 44 plus 16 plus 16. And so what we're left with is an answer of minus 4. Again, still not 0. Okay, let's try something else. Alright, let's try 3 then. 3 has to work. F of 3 is going to be 2 times 2 times 3 cubed minus 11 times 3 squared plus 8 times 3 plus 16, which is 2 times 27 is 54 minus 99 plus 24 plus 16, and we're left with an answer of minus 5. So still not 0. Okay. I mean, this is just how the factor theorem works sometimes, but we're getting a little bit unlucky. No worries though. Let's try f of 4. Surely, 4th time's the charm. We get 2 times 4 cubed minus 11 times 4 squared plus 8 times 4 plus 16. And we're left with 2 times 64 is 128 minus 11 times 16, which is 176, plus 32 plus 16, which is equal to 0. Okay, fourth time's the charm. And so therefore we know that x minus 4 is a factor. So now let's divide the polynomial by x minus 4. So x minus 4. And we need to divide that from 2x cubed minus 11x squared plus 8x plus 16. And now we need to ask ourselves, what do we need to multiply, or how many times does x go into 2x cubed, right? It's going to be 2x squared, okay? So then 2x squared times x minus 4 is just going to be 2x cubed minus 8x. Notice something though, guys. These two are the same. These two can be different, but the important thing is that these two have to be the same. Right? So anyways, let's minus them. So because these two are the same, that's just going to be 0. Minus 11 minus 8 is minus 3x squared. Then put this 8x down. How many times does x plus 4 go into minus 3x squared? That's just going to be, in a different color, minus 3x. Okay? So then minus 3x times x minus 4 is just going to be minus 3x squared plus 12x. So when we do that, we get 0 minus 4x. And then we put the 16 down. And then how many times does x minus 4 go into minus 4x? That's just going to be minus 4. So then we're left with minus 4x. Minus 4 times minus 4 is plus 16. And so it's equal to 0. And because it's equal to 0, we can say that f of x is equal to x plus 4 and 2x squared plus minus 3x plus 4. However, from here, we're told to solve, which means we need to know what the x's are. We know from this bracket that x is equal to minus 4. X is equal to plus 4, excuse me, because that's a minus. What about for this one? Well, for this one, we can either factorize it. So let's think of, two numbers that add up to make minus 3 but multiply to make 8. I can't think of one. So what we need to do is we need to use the quadratic formula. Right? Or basically what we need to do is solve. Okay? So x is equal to minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That's just the quadratic formula. And when we plug that into the polynomials that we have just made, we get an answer of minus 0.85 and 2.35. I'm just going to tell you what they are because I'm running low on space. But these are your answers. X equals 4 and x equals these two numbers. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked this video and you want to hear more from me, drop me an email and then you can get tutored by me. I'll drop down a message and a quote. Keep on learning as you have no idea what you're capable of doing.